Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio once again Dr. Emmanuel Alhassan, Head of Department of Psychology, Nasarawa State University, KEFI, and FCT Chairman of Nigerian Psychological Association. Dr. Alhassan, you're welcome once again.
Thank you very much indeed.
We had a session where we discussed your role as the chairman, FCT, Nigerian Psychological Association, the new cadre, psychology cadre in the civil service, which we hope will be operational very soon, and that every sector, including the private sector, will begin to engage psychologists because we need it. But I am interested in your story because I think that your story will inspire young people. Your career progression, you're coming back to the academics, you're beginning with academics and coming back to academics. Reason is that, as we were speaking earlier before this program with teachers from a secondary school, there are people who, they begin somewhere in life, they don't see themselves as they don't have the vision, to imagine yourself that, okay, I'm working in an oil company now, or I'm working in a bank now. I imagine myself a professor. And that I take steps that will eventually get me there. And then hearing your story about how difficult it was, how long it took in spite of your efforts, trying to do a PhD part-time, and meeting some difficult supervisors, and changing university, and driving the long, and I'm sure you were doing it during that bad road, redeemed part of the road between Ibadan and Lagos, yes, and later Benin.
Yes.
To do your PhD.
Yes. And
today, you are head of department of that psychology we are trying to do. Today, you are able to supervise PhD people.
Yes.
Tell us something about your story. You graduated first degree in psychology.
Yes.
Then you went and did MD.
I did an MSc in industrial organizational psychology.
Industrial organizational psychology.
Yes. And then,
which is a specialization in psychology.
Yes. And then I went to Lagos. I did my BSc and MSc in Jos. And then I got a job and moved to Lagos.
You did, as a youth corps, you did what kind of job?
As a youth corps, I served in a bank.
You served in a bank?
Exactly. I served in a bank. The regional HR manager, nice lady, was impressed with my work. So she actually gave me a note to the head office and a recommendation. Unfortunately, there was an embargo at that time. And those days, young people, we all wanted to be bankers. And thereafter, I started working for an advert company, part-time, and then I went home to my village for Christmas, and lo and behold, the community secondary school was in dire need of teachers, and I thought, if there is this level of desperation, and I'm from this, let me also contribute to my community. So I actually was a teacher after my youth service.
I am writing it down.
In a bank.
So you started as a banker, as a youth corps?
Yes.
Then you worked in
my village.
You worked as an advert in an advert company?
Yes, part-time, because the man says, look, I don't have money to pay you.
Good. But then you went to the village and saw the situation of the school in your village.
Yes.
And decided to take teaching appointment in the village.
Yes.
For how long?
This was for a full session.
A year.
For a year.
Yes.
And luckily, before I left for my master's, because I had always desired that I will do a master's degree, and I would have loved there to have been a university nearby, so I would be doing the master's and still teaching. Because some of my students, I look at them today and I'm very pleased. Quite a few of them have actually over the years
made it,
risen to and then when one or two of them tells you, we didn't really like you because you always told us to do the right thing. Initially, we didn't understand, but those of us who eventually caught up to it see where we are today. You see, so it's really something that gladdens the heart. So, I
you went for masters.
I went for my masters, then went to Lagos, and I had since I still wanted at some point to do banking, I did an MBA at Unilag.
You did an MBA. Did you do the MBA before getting job with Owando?
Yes, I did. Okay. And so I did the MBA. I'd eventually started working in the private sector.
Okay.
And eventually worked in a bank. And after the bank, I worked with Owando.
Wait a minute. You had a second missionary journey to the bank?
Oh, yes.
So after your MBA,
yes,
you worked in a bank?
Yes, I did.
Correct.
And then
for how many years?
After that, I worked with the bank for 2 years.
2 years.
And then got an opportunity to work in oil and gas with Owando. It was Unipetrol when I started with them. My entry job was the planning officer for the company, and when I exited, eventually it was as a regional manager.
Okay.
And
how many years did you spend?
I spent between 8 and 9 years, with them. And then decided to now do development work, more humanitarian work.
Now, at what point did you get your PhD?
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so that's, I guess,
because you told us where you got your BA.
So I started the PhD program after my MBA.
Okay.
And at that point in time, I had started working with
the oil company,
with
the bank,
with Owando.
Okay.
Yes, it was then Unipetrol, and then when it was privatized, Owando bought it over, Wale Tinubu and Co. And so they changed the name and rebranded to Owando. So I started that program because I was interested in getting a PhD, and at some point, at the back of my mind, I knew I was going to go back to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was how so Unilag, 2 years, I did all the required coursework. I did the proposals, in the process of now defending.
Yes.
Because it's different stages. That was when I had a huge challenge. Unfortunately, I didn't have it really nice. With
I mean, a number
with my
of
supervisor.
A number of Nigerians have had that problem. I mean, when I tell Nigerians, when I say somewhere how easy it was for me, as long as I was ready to work hard in the US to pass through the various stages and I was exchanging chapters with my supervisor every week. If I was ready, she was ready. So I was doing that, and I never had an occasion of wanting to see my supervisor and not being able to see my supervisor.
Oh, unfortunately, that was the situation in my case. So after about two, three years on the program.
By the way, the kind of negative experience you had, wanting to have access to your supervisor, not getting it, and then you spend 2.5 years literally on one spot.
Yeah.
I hope you are not putting your students through that kind of thing now. Now that you are in a position as head of department.
So I'm very, very delighted, with all due humility, to tell you, sir, that the number of postgraduate students, and the records are there, that we've graduated in my tenure as HOD, which just started April last year, is amazing. As a matter of fact, we literally give deadlines. The other faculty, the other staff members, in the department have been extremely, extremely hardworking and cooperative. We've worked as a team. We met and we decided, look, we need to do everything to ensure
that these graduate
students who are serious graduate on time. And so we also charged all the supervisors of postgraduate students particularly, of course, the undergraduates, it's 4 years. You must do it and you must go unless you don't want to graduate. I mean, that's, but for the postgraduate students, particularly those who are working and still want to do a master's, and who at some point, begin to lose grip and to, we tell them, no, focus. You've started.
So you are the one now encouraging them.
There's a young man, and if this was a live program and I'm sure he would have called in. Very hardworking, as he rounded off his program, the theoretical aspect, and then he started his research. At some point, he needed to get married, which was good, and I encouraged and supported him. I supervised him. And then one day I called him and I say, you're almost done with your work. You can't abandon it.
At this stage.
You must. And I was the one now harassing, in quotes.
Harassing him to finish.
And I'm happy he's done his defense. He has his MSc now. Ditto for a lady who works with one of the paramilitary. It's the same thing. So what has happened is the experience
you had
have
thrown you out,
and I have said people don't need to go through that stress because we don't all have the capacity.
Some people have abandoned it.
As a matter of fact, I still abandoned my program at some point. So I left Unilag after 2.5 years to 3 years and started afresh at the University of Ibadan. And then I got transferred, bigger responsibilities, and now I had to be coming from Benin. I had a wonderful, excellent supervisor, Professor Helen Oshinawa, who was very thorough, But about halfway into the program, one day it occurred to me, I looked at all the comments, the corrections, and then I asked myself, you have 2 masters. You have a good job. Why are you stressing yourself? So I just decided to rest the program.
I see.
But thanks, my eternal thanks go to the likes of Professor Sumola, the likes of, they were not professors at the time, the likes of Professor Alex Shenge, Professor Alarakbe, and Professor John Ekore, because they kept calling, and at this point I transited and moved to Abuja. So you can also see.
so they kept calling to say, why are you abandoning this project?
You need to complete this program. My supervisor kept looking for me, and I eventually went back. And after 9 years, I got my PhD. Now, one of the challenges I had at that time was, this thing is taking too much time. I was counting the 2.5 years plus the 1, 2, 3 years I was already spending at UI. And I'm saying,
I have 2 master's degree. What
do I need this for? I don't need it.
And you are working.
But I was the one.
And you are working in an oil sector anyway, so.
And then somebody told me, but nobody sent you to go do. You decided. You made it one of your life goals. Then with the encouragement, and I got back to it. And I eventually got it. And guess what? That thing that I said was taking an eternity, that I thought, I'm wasting my time. It's the time, that I thought was never going to come, that the years were too far ahead. I got that thing in 2006. So I'm looking back and I'm saying that thing that I thought was almost unachievable.
It's far behind
why
me.
was I wasting years?
Yes.
It's
far behind me.
Years.
I'm going to let Dr. Ekore know. I mean,
Professor Ekore is right now in Saudi Arabia.
He used to be one of our faculty members here.
Looks
Terra. Oh yeah. And I know Professor Chenge, so I'm going to commend them. But you see, for me, it is an interesting story that you went through all that, and that today you are training psychologists. You are head of department, and so I just look at your career path and how rich it has been. how rich it has been. That is to say, you started as a banker, you ended up in the village as a teacher in your secondary school in the village. You came back and you did something as an advert salesperson. You came back and went and did your MBA. And then after the MBA, you were excited about trying the PhD. First of all, you went and did masters, isn't it?
Yes, an MSc.
An MSc in industrial psychology. Then you did an MBA. I am just amazed at your resilience, your vision, your determination. Perhaps if you added to your oil job some private business, then you would have made all the millions. But you decided to be going to school and get an MSc and get an MBA and then get work on the PhD for 9 years. I think our young people need to learn, because the fulfillment you get now, money cannot give it.
No, not at all.
The fulfillment, the day you stand on the there as the head of department awarding a PhD to a PhD student with a VC, the fulfillment.
Yeah.
I mean, you came to Terra to represent the VC to give certificate to our own graduates.
Yes.
For me, our young people need to be taught that everything is not about money. Our young people need to be taught that everything is not about money. You need to share with our viewers, what's your fulfillment today? You're not one of the richest Nigerians.
No.
There are people who worked in the oil company and who have vast estates.
Yeah.
You don't have. But tell us about your fulfillment as a person.
You know, for me, there's two things. One, those days during WAEC, there's a question that used to come out once in 3 years, either in economics or in commerce. Money is what money can buy. Discuss. In my place, and I'm sure in other traditions in Nigeria, they ask a rhetorical question. Why do people seek for money or wealth? And then they give a rhetorical answer. It's for glory. It's for honor. It's for recognition. Then they now ask another question. If God now gives you the honor and the glory, without you getting the money, why are you still killing yourself for the money?
Thank you.
Particularly after I left Owando and worked with NACA before now going to academics, and doing humanitarian in quotes, because it's an agency that deals with HIV/AIDS, and of course, NACA, in that space of time, you know, I was also able to develop myself to look at other issues and build my capacity, and it is really satisfying to sit and look back. It's not the money that you made that you can talk about, that will give you that inner satisfaction. It is how many lives you have touched, how many ideas you have disseminated, how many initiatives in the course of your career you actually things you've initiated, and you are seeing that they achieved results.
How many people you have mentored?
Those for me is more than anything in the world, and God has been very kind. I also get, for me, the dignity, the self-respect, and that's why one of the things that children and youths also need to know is that the level of respect that you have, or dignity, or that you are accorded, is not based on the decimal of currency. It's not.
No, absolutely not.
It's not. At whatever level you are today, what is it that you are contributing? What value are you adding? What is your self-worth? What's your self-concept? How do you regard yourself? Even if you are staying in one room,
yes,
do you have self-worth? Do you realize that you are a human being and that you have dignity? And that whatever you are doing, whether you are a teacher or a banker or a baker, or a dispatch person, that you should do it.
There is dignity in labor,
with joy, and with a sense of self-worth.
And your wife's name is
Joy.
Joy. Now, I met your wife for the first time, and I met him with my brother Richard, and the impression we had when we were going is that this is a loving family.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I said, I need to share with you, because too many marriages are in trouble. We discussed it when we left your house, that if we went to another place like this, I never had any chat with your wife, I never knew her, and then we say we come to pick you to somewhere. By the time you came from upstairs, after she opened the door for us, she will get up and go away. Because it's like these are your visitors. But what happened? She engaged us. We engaged her, and we were chatting until you came. So, and for us, it told us that, this is a united family, and she not only engaged us before you came, but when you came together, you both engaged us. And both of you talked about the children. And when I asked about what you were doing to follow up your child, you know what you did? You said, thanks to her, she is the one that is more daily in touch with them. So thanks to her. We saw that and we got something out of it. And I really would ask you to a word to our audience, because we're talking about you. A word to our audience about married life. This give and take. Because you see, what I saw that day in the brief encounter, we saw you giving the credit for whatever the children are turning out, giving a lot of the credit to their mother. That does not happen everywhere. Please help me talk to our people.
First, I'm humbled. I didn't realize that
I was watching
that the brief encounter that you observed all of this, and that's good feedback. That means it's something. It's something for me to think and ponder about, because it's important to build on whatever strengths that people have identified, and then also see how you can, work on your weaknesses as well. I'm not a marriage expert. However, I think that it's a partnership. Yes, there should be mutual respect, and God Almighty has designed the woman to play a certain role and for the man to play a certain role, and they should see it as complementary and not competitive, because one of the issues that you find is where there is competition, not just between men or between women who will stay somewhere, and one is talking about how the husband has a big house, or is building a new house, or buying and all of that, but also in the home. There is both parties should see themselves as
complementary, supporting one another.
Exactly. You don't necessarily have to like the same food.
No.
You don't necessarily. As a matter of fact, that might even be a source of conflict, because if it's she likes tea, you like tea, and all the tea things get finished, and somebody is saying, you take more of the tea, it might even generate, but if she takes coffee, you take tea. Fantastic. That's why she is a woman and you are a man. You have your roles and responsibilities. She has her roles and responsibilities, and you need to now synergize and work together. And the other thing is, and I'm very happy with your program on trauma and healing, because there's hardly anybody you talk to who has not had one issue or the other, either from home or from people who have betrayed them in school or in the workplace.
Yes.
One of the things that is fundamental is in the home, little faults or big faults, no matter how you classify them, because a big issue
Yes.
For
Maybe
one
for
person,
one person, maybe a small issue for another. Yes.
But as long as that person believes it's a big issue, treat it as a big issue.
Deal with it.
Deal with it. Discuss it.
And
you
dispense
don't
with
have
it.
to agree on everything, but respect each other's views. And where you have been hurt, it is in your interest to forgive and walk through it. It is in both parties' interest, because every single day, it might just be lack of appreciation. It might just be a word from your wife. Yes. And then you feel, oh, after all the school fees I've been paying, just because of one single thing, my wife is talking to me like this. Talk about it, deal with it, and say, no. I don't like the way you talk to me about this. I feel that I'm not being appreciated. I mean, you're talking like I've not done anything. I am a man. I'm not supposed to be, whatever I'm doing for my family is expected of me. I'm not supposed to now be, it's not a game or full, but I think I'm also trying.
I mean, you just mentioned the issue of appreciation. Human beings like to be appreciated for the little efforts they do, which is why Pope Francis came out talking to couples and said, there are three phrases that should be in your mouth every day. And he says, I am sorry. Because we're going to be hurting one another. He says, please, may I, meaning respect the other person. And thank you. Thank you always, because don't take the food your wife is cooking, don't take it for granted.
No.
Don't say after all,
she probably came back from work
tired.
Or she has cramps.
Yes.
But she still entered.
Yes. So say thank you.
And ditto for the women.
Yes. Say thank you to the man.
Exactly. Yes. He has managed, maybe he has not even finished paying, at least he managed to raise half of the school fees. Instead of, but it's his duty. No. Thank you.
Thank you.
The man will kill himself. Yes.
On this note, we'll be bringing this program to an end. I've been speaking to Dr. Emmanuel Alhassan, FCT chairman, FCT chapter of the Nigerian Psychological Association. He's the chairman, and he's the head of Department of Psychology at the Nasarawa State University, KFI. And we are speaking about his life, his story, how he has traversed so many areas to now become a teacher and head of department. I mean, it's very admirable, and I admire your resilience, especially 9 years doing PhD. Me, who had it easy doing it in a few years in America, I really admire it, and I believe that has helped you, that now, rather than students finding you difficult, you are the one who is dragging students to say, come and finish your work, don't delay, finish your work. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.